everybody. Let me turn this music down a little bit. And there's my face. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday show of this particular franchise, which is celebrating its 4th year coming up on Friday. I probably told you about that already. Yeah, we're going to have a 4th anniversary show. Our friend Hard Bash is going to be here, and I'm going to have a few other guests, but he's going to be here for sure. And then a reminder tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have our friend Nick Ricada. Okay, I wouldn't say our friend. He's an acquaintance, and he's a Minnesotan, so it's closer than I guess than not. But he's going to be here tomorrow, the afternoon. That's going to be at 4 o'clock Eastern. But I'm going to have my regular show in the morning too. So I got a jam-packed week. Hopefully we'll get a bunch of people here and have some lively conversation and all that stuff. But today we're going to talk a little bit about government censorship or something like that. And oh no, what? Oh goodness gracious, I didn't even see this one. Hang on a second. Let me, where'd that pop up? Where's it at? Is this a, okay, I got another one. I have more. There's all kinds of stuff about government censorship, and we're going to talk about that. Plus, just a couple other happenings around the world, so we'll figure it out. Anyway, I don't have any more intro, so I'm going to play the intro. Here, let's stop this. Stop that music. Play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Oh, hell yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel on this Tuesday, the 10th of January, 2023. Hope you're having a good morning. I am. I got home in time to get the show started on time, and I had a nice breakfast. I made some homemade chili yesterday. Lady Boomer. Oh, by the way, Lady Boomer. We had a doctor's appointment yesterday. Doc said, the surgeon said that she's doing pretty good. Still has to ease into regular foods, but she can now eat regular foods. So I made some, he said, try maybe eat some really ground up hamburger and just chew really well and a couple other things. And so she ate that, and it didn't go so well. She had a rough night because it's the first food she's processed since we started. But I also made some homemade chili now because she didn't get, I make homemade chili every Christmas Eve, and we had a bunch and we gave a lot of it away. And then but I made some more because she didn't get any of the homemade Christmas chili. But after last night, I think it may be a few days before she eats any chili. So I decided to have some eggs this morning with some just smothered in chili and some cheddar cheese. And boy, was that shit good. So anyway, you don't want to hear about my breakfast, and I don't think you want to hear about Lady Boomer's bodily functions, so I'm not going to talk about that. But you are here to see what I come up with today, and I've got some good stuff. But before I do that, obviously, I always say good morning, at least to the people who are here early and on time. Now, might be a trick on Wednesday afternoon. I don't know. Nick Ricada's fans tend to follow around, so just warning, I may not be able to do it Wednesday, but I'll do it today because that's how it works. So first in the chat over on Rumble, it's Avocados Diablo who gets the bell. Thank you for being there, sir. And also good morning to Mike Savage, Blarg, Septus Wolf, Simon Wolfwood. Oh, did I say Simon Wolf? No, I did not say Simon Wolfwood. Good morning, Simon Wolfwood. And Jimmy Das Hotep. Good morning, all of you over on the Rumble side. Now I know a bunch of you are also here on the YouTube side, so I'm gonna say, but I just gotta say goodbye. Good morning to people over here. First in the chat on YouTube today is Maddie, who gets the bell. Excuse me. In fact, wait a minute. Maddie's over here twice. You're on your rants and you're on your Maddie house. Okay, she switched over to the Maddie Rants channel, so she's here twice. Good morning, Tyrannis, Alexandris, Tromerlich, a.k.a. Tyler Alexander. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Avocados Diabli. Also, Jay Pylon's in the house. Good morning, Trippy Liberty. Good morning to Gunfox61, who's trying to make my head explode. Also, good morning to, I got to scroll a little bit. Lord Stanhope's in the house. Nice to see you. Unacceptable views. Mike Savage, Blarg. Is that it? Where is everybody? I had this thing on for a long time. Fox P2's in the house. I see you. Simon Wolfwood. Jethro Hetero, Rotten Corpse. What's up? Attack Alpaca's in the house. What's going on here? This thing keeps jumping too. Somnambule Nation. Good morning. Chicago Mike. What's up? My favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies in the house. Gulf City DC 182 DCC 182 aka Blink is here. Rick Ashingbringer, nice to see you. And that looks like about everybody. So I got about 23 started up. That's a good start on YouTube, and a handful in Rumble. Please, on those platforms, hit that like button. A long time ago, I know that when I started doing the Morning Night Live 4 years ago, somewhere in the first couple of weeks of me doing the show, I was lucky because the things that happened, I'll talk about more about this on Friday, but my first week, or my second, I think it was maybe the second week of the show, was the time that two things happened. Two big events. One, Nick Salmon got accosted by that jackass Native American dude banging a drum in his face. Okay, the Covington kids. That happened. And then around the same time, so did Jussie Smollett. So I was knee deep in content for months off of all of those two things. I had so much fun with that Jussie Smollett stuff, but I think I got on YouTube's nerves somehow. I somehow I rang one of those bells in the YouTube ecosystem that said, nah, we don't need any more people like this. And so it's been a long, long haul growing my channel. And I eventually got to 1,000 users, subscribers, and I got the monetization thing. And then, we've been doing this show for, we've been doing this show for 4 years now. And so now I'm like, I've been trying to do this project 10,000, 1,000, but YouTube keeps, every time I figure out what I'm going to do, YouTube bumps me for some stupid reason. But now, over the next few weeks, you're going to see a lot more guests just because, hopefully we'll get some of those people to join us too. And, make it easier for me to continue doing this. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But you guys can still help me because you are the sponsors of the show. Remember to hit the like button, whether you're on YouTube or Rumble. Rumble now has just the thumbs up. It doesn't have the little plusy sign. I kind of like the plusy sign, but anyway, you can pound that plusy over on Rumble, it's a thumbs up now. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube, and you can share the stream. That's the biggest one, man. Share the stream somewhere. Just invite people to come join you. Say, hey, let's go see come check out my friend. Like Maddie, thank you for doing that this morning. I appreciate that. And then also you can sponsor the show, obviously, monetarily through pdognight.live. That's where I'll get to that in a second. pdognight.live, 24 hours a day. Messages just work like super chats, but you don't give as much money to Susan. Or you can, if you don't mind giving money to Susan, or it's just easier, go ahead and do super chats, or there's Venmo and Cash App opportunities in the description, in the description of both on YouTube and Rumble. So there you go. Now, speaking of which, we do have our first sponsor today. That would be Gunfox61. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Dropped an article in a couple articles, or just one or two. There's just one article in the chat today. Why is this thing jumping like this? I need to make this so I can fit more stuff on there. There we go. Gunfox61 dropped an article in, no comments, but we are going to get to that one too. That's going to be one of our preview articles before we get into the main topic of the day. Good morning, Hig. Nice to see you. Asan. Did I say Fox B2? I think it did. Hig, the home base in Florida. Nice to see you. All right, let's go. Let's do this thing, okay? Well, first, on a let me start with. I'm going to start with a sad note instead of ending with a sad note. You may or may not have heard this, but Lynette Hardaway passed away yesterday. Lynette Hardaway, also known as Diamond of Diamond and Silk, she passed away yesterday, and there are no details. I've seen lots of memorials to her. Here's one from Deneen Borelli, just saying my sincere condolences to the family on the passing of Lynette Hardaway, aka Diamond. Rest in peace. She's the woman on the left on your screen there. Now I know in November she had gone into the hospital for COVID, but she recovered. So she didn't. I don't think she died from COVID, because I know she's even done a couple videos since then. And so there are no details. In fact, let me see if I can find. I haven't looked this morning if they've gotten any details, but we'll figure that in a second. Again, thank you, Maddie, for tweeting out the show. Also, Jimmy Das Hotep, greatly appreciate you putting out the Rumble link. Thank you. So let me see. It's trending. Let me go ahead and click the trending link. Now, one thing, if you go into this trending link, just prepare yourself for what I would describe as, let me see, how would I describe this? This early in the show, can I say this? I don't know. A rash of assholes. There are definitely people out there who absolutely hated Diamond and Silk. Mostly brothers and sisters in the arena of any Black Twitter hated Diamond and Silk. They did not like them, but I don't care. I think and regardless of I thought their act was a little bit silly, but it was also very serious. They had pretty good messaging, and obviously they were probably the two of the biggest supporters of Donald Trump on the planet from day one. When he said that he was going to run, they wanted him to run in 2014. They were talking about him then, and they had kind of a funny, campy style, fun to listen to. But let's see. So we're going to go into this hashtag just briefly. Lots of people are saying rest in peace. Brandon Straka, heartbroken to learn that Diamond has died. Diamond and Silk supported me and walk away from the moment I started things in 2018 and were loud and vocal supporters of mine repeatedly after my arrest when so many others went quiet. So much love for these ladies. So sad about this. Bryson Gray, rest in peace, Diamond and Silk. Or rest in peace, Diamond from Diamond and Silk. Wow, this is very unexpected. They were cool and always showed me love. Politibunny, I will never understand how people can. Now this is where I'm at too. This particular sentiment from Politibunny, who writes for Twitchy. I will never understand how people can cheer the death of another simply because of their politics, and we see this time and time again on the left. Scalia, Limbaugh, Kane, and now Diamond. It's only your own humanity and spirit you damage when you do this. Terrence K. William, the little funny dude. This is truly heartbreaking. This one hit hard. Diamond of Diamond and Silk has passed away. I'm at a loss for. I think he meant I'm at a loss for words. We will miss you and most definitely will never forget you. Love you forever. Please keep her sister Silk in your prayers. I didn't know they were sisters. I know they were roommates. I didn't know they were sisters.
How you doing? Okay, Terrence.
Okay, so that's Terrence Williams. David Harris. So sad to hear Diamond's passing. She spoke the truth with humor. She was an amazing woman. Thank you. Thankful I know I will see you again one day. But there's a lot of, if you scroll through this, you'll find the assholes. There's plenty of them. Donald Trump did send a message to via Truth Social. I don't know if I can find it here. Here's their own page. The world just lost a true angel and warrior, patriot of freedom, love, and humanity. Please respect the privacy of Diamond's family. Memorial ceremony to be announced. Contributions towards preserving Diamond's legacy are only being accepted at the following. They got a Give, Send, Go link. So, a whole lot of people giving their condolences. And here's what Donald Trump said. Really bad news for Republicans and, frankly, all Americans. Our beautiful Diamond of Diamond and Silk has just passed away at her home in the state she loved so much, North Carolina. Silk was with her all the way, and at her passing, there was no better team anywhere or at any time. Diamond's death was totally unexpected. Probably her big and precious heart just plain gave out. Rest in peace, our magnificent Diamond. You will be greatly missed. So, and then I guess Twitch is going to collect some of the ugly tweets because there's some people out there just being crappy. If you go into that hashtag, I'm going to leave this in the links today. Thankfully, at least the first 15, 20 that I see on here are all just appropriate rest in peace type things. So anyway, if you're a praying type, pray for a family. Pray for a family, pray for a sister, and that's I guess that's all I can say. Real quick, thank you, Carnivore Dad, for dropping a big bullet in the tip jar saying, good morning, like, share, and subscribe. Everyone needs the content and perspective. It is how we affect change. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. All right. Now, let's let me do real quick. There's a couple more notifications here. Maybe some thank yous. Thank you, Scribe Light, for retweeting the show. Also, good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite. Where is it? There it is.
That's right.
And Aaron Meredith, good to see you in the chat. Okay, well, let's get into the show today. First, I'm going to go through some articles Gunfox sent me. And you see this, Gunfox? I'm just preparing my brain. Actually, the ones you sent me about Argentina and China really didn't get me too crazy. I gotta be honest with you. This is interesting. China and Argentina formalized a currency swap deal, which is interesting. They formalized the expansion of a currency swap, allowing the South American country to increase its depleted foreign currency reserves. The Argentine Central Bank said it Sunday. So China is dipping their fingers into South America a little deeper now. Argentina's government needs to rebuild reserves to cover trade costs and future debt repayment. And more reserves are a key objective of a major debt deal with the International Monetary Fund. President Alberto Fernandez announced the deal in November last year and said at the time that it was worth $5 billion. Which didn't seem like a whole lot, but the head of the Argentine and Chinese central banks confirmed that the deal for the swap of currencies between both institutions has been activated and committed to deepening the use of the Chinese yuan in the Argentine market. Oh, I know that the dollar's used quite a bit in the Argentine market. Are they trying to replace the dollar in the Argentine market? That could be. Anyone knows more about international monetary policy, please chime in the chat. China is Argentina's second biggest trade partner after Brazil and second most important destination for Argentine exports. The swap comprises of the exchange of currency for reinforcement of international reserves of $130 billion won, and a special activation of 35 billion won to compensate operations on the foreign exchange market, the statement said. So, the yuan, spelled Y-U-A-N, that's the currency. So, okay, interesting. Not earth-shattering, but and then also this is the other one Gunfox sent me yesterday, and I apologize for waiting so long to get to it, Gunfox. I do appreciate when you send me these things, and Thank you also for sponsoring the show. I greatly appreciate it. So here, this is interesting. Lightning. Oh, let me move it over a bit so you can see it. Lightning in the cataclysmic Tonga volcano eruption shattered all records. Now this, this is just cool. I don't know. I didn't even see the picture here. We'll show the video from this. Is
In the
CNN.
midst of chaos.
Oh wait. I don't. This is. Oh, that's a. Apparently that's a commercial.
Fallen so far, and he keeps falling.
Giuliani, what happened to America's mayor?
They're gonna trash Rudy Giuliani in a new series. So here it is. This is the an active volcano in Tonga. So it erupted one day before it triggered a tsunami. This is fascinating. Oh wow, the ash went 12 miles in the air. Okay, that's wild. Oh wow, a day later another eruption triggered a tsunami. And here's the tsunami going up into the coast. Not as bad as the one in Japan, but still, that's a lot of water. Probably caused a lot of damage. So anyway, the point of this article, though, is... See, this is not nearly as bad as some tsunamis, but still, it's a pain in the ass for people who live there. I guarantee that. All right, so anyway... when Hunga Hapai volcano erupted in January 2022, it sent shockwaves around the world. Not only did it trigger widespread new tsunami waves, but it also belched an enormous amount of climate warming water vapor into the Earth's atmosphere. Well, we're going to have a little climate change. Good morning, Scribe. There you are. Thank you for tweeting out the show. Also, good morning, Renee Mayette and Nomad.
Hammer time.
And Episcopos and GDSOB. So anyway, now research. So look, but the volcano will have nothing to do with global warming. Yes, I know this is from yesterday. And now researchers in a new report have unveiled something else. The eruption set off more than 25,500 lightning events in just 5 minutes. Over the course of just 6 hours, the volcano triggered nearly 400,000 lightning events. Half of all lightning in the world was concentrated around this volcano at the eruption's peak. The cataclysmic eruption shattered all records, according to a report from Vaisala, an environmental monitoring company that tracks lightning around the world. It is the most extreme concentration of lightning that we've ever detected, Chris Vagaski, meteorologist and lightning expert at Vaisala, told This Is CNN. That we've been detecting lightning for 40 years now, and this is a really extreme event. The annual report by Vaisala found that 2022 was a year of extremes for lightning. Lightning increased in the U.S. in 2022 with more than 198 million lightning strikes, 4 million more than was observed in 2021, 28 million more than 2022. Well, I know that in 2020 and 2021, the lightning was affected by COVID because COVID affects everything. And then obviously global warming affects the COVID. Good morning, Mike. How you doing? Everyone heard about Diamond's death. Was it COVID related? I'm sure she wasn't vaccinated. Well, she had COVID in November, but she was making videos again just earlier this month. So I don't think it could have been COVID related. I don't know. If you read the news right now, more people are dying with the vaccine than not. So I don't know. It's very possible. I think she's only 51 years old, something like that. A little bit heavy set, but I don't know. So we'll find out eventually. They haven't made any announcement why she died. But good morning to you, Mike. Nice to see you. All right. Anyway, so we can do this because stronger eruptions generate lightning, and lightning sends detectable radio signals around the world. So this is a huge eruption. Why do they have snow pictures here? Oh, they're just talking about the increase in lightning around the world. Well, I'm sure has something to do with climate change because everything has to do with climate change. So anyway, all right, let's move on. Now, Gunfox did send me one more before I get into the main topic today. This one is from I'm trying to understand what this woman is saying in this article. So people were not supposed to die of other kinds of deaths after getting vaccinated. Mike, we're talking about COVID deaths, right? Isn't that what you asked about? Over the last 2 months, it's a new trend because there's a lot of people vaccinated. But more people have died of COVID who've been vaccinated than who have not. That is the point. That was the stat we got from they pulled it out of the CDC data, and that's what the article was about a week ago. So I didn't write the data. I didn't write the article. I just saw it and read it, and there we go. So anyway, moving on. This I don't understand, but Gunfox sent it to me anyway. So here we go. Everyone's favorite big time pop star, pun intended, Lizzo says that cancel culture is appropriation and is now trendy. Now, I don't know where Lizzo's been. Maybe she doesn't follow people I do, but cancel culture is not, I don't know how it's appropriation. I don't know why it's trendy. But she was in that boat of possibly being canceled because of something she sang in a song. And so I think she's a little more sensitive to it now. Lizzo shared her concerns about cancel culture, saying she believes it is now trendy. Well, if you follow certain people who read and write things that are not in the, left of, I don't know, people left of Ben Shapiro, they get canceled all the time. Maybe it's trendy to you because you were in the crosshairs of cancel culture. But she says, this may be a random time to say this, but it's on my heart. Cancel culture is appropriation. Now, I don't know what it's appropriation of. That's what I don't understand why she's talking about here. The Truth Hurts singer tweeted on Sunday, there was real outrage from truly marginalized people, and now it's become trendy, misused, and misdirected. Huh? I hope we can phase out of this and focus our outrage on the real problems. So she got this. Well, here's what she, and I didn't know this is her. This is just what she said. So in its modern usage, cancel culture describes the phenomenon of social or professional ostracization someone may face after being accused of harmful behavior or sharing socially unacceptable viewpoints. The phrase has become ubiquitous in pop culture. Last year, Lizzo faced criticism from disability charities after she included the ableist. Now, first of all, this is Business Insider, who would want to call it an ableist slur, spaz, a slang word for spastic, in her song Girls. She later removed the word from the song and issued an apology. It's a word I've heard a lot, especially in rap songs and with my black friends and in my black circles. It means to go off, turn up, whoop, whoop. She explained in an interview with Vanity Fair. It is used as a verb, not a noun or adjective. I used it in the way that it's used in the black community. Now, if I had been Lizzo at the time and had put this song out called with the word spaz because she was using it as a noun, I'd have told them to fuck right off. Here's how it's being used. Because you know who else this happened to? It didn't just happen to Lizzo. Now, I was going to say it happened to a much, much bigger star, but that would be maybe inappropriate. But it also happened to none other than maybe not the biggest, but one of the most popular stars on the planet. It happened to Beyonce, too. Did you know that? Wait a minute. What? Wait, what? What I would what? Tire. No, I don't want the answer to that. Good morning, Jeff Overturf and Anna Lynn and Tex AG 007. So anyway, I don't her use. I think she might have misused the word appropriation here too. But anyway, that's the article, and there's Lizzo. And look, she's the lovely woman. She's just giant. And she's, well, look, here's, I don't know if you saw this a while back. I put this article out here. Lizzo says she's lucky that she doesn't feel that weight gain is bad anymore. And then she's talking about, speaking of Vanity Fair, a singer and entrepreneur, said she eats when she's stressed and for comfort, sometimes without realizing how much she's consumed. Look, if she's happy with her life, she's going to be happy with her life. I don't understand certain aspects of her life, and I'm not here to understand them. So I certainly, and I'm one of the, what's the word for this? I am a fatter than I should be American. So I'm not going to worry about this too much. Oh yes, the villain in the little. Oh, she wanted to be the villain in the Little Mermaid. She did not. They did not let her. They did not cast her as Ursula, and she thought it was racist that they cast a white woman as Ursula or some shit like that. I don't know. She was mad that she got overlooked, which I don't know how you can overlook Lizzo. But anyway, okay, enough of the little mean jokes. I should stop. All right, let's talk about what I really wanted to talk about today. The latest Twitter file drop. Now, this one's only a 4-tweet thread because he put some articles in here to. Oh wait. Oh, it is 29. I thought it was 4. Okay. Anyway, here's the Twitter thread from yesterday. Is this the end right here? I really messed this up, didn't I? Well, we're gonna go through it anyway because it gives you kind of an idea of how Twitter basically got rid of Alex Berenson. Alex Berenson is a journalist, and he got a target on his back from the powers that be in our government. And so we'll just go through this real quick, and then we're going to move on. I for some reason, I didn't see the whole thing. This is how, this one's about how Pfizer was trying to control the narrative via the government and via other entities. So here we go. For those who would rather see the whole Gottlieb Twitter files in a thread, here it goes. On August 27, 2021, Dr. Scott Gottlieb, a Pfizer director with over 550,000 Twitter followers, saw a tweet he didn't like, a tweet that might hurt sales of Pfizer's mRNA. You know what? This is just telling you what happened. About Pfizer's mRNA vaccines. The tweet explained correctly that natural immunity after COVID infection was superior to vaccine protection. It called on the White House to follow the science and exempt people with natural immunity from upcoming vaccine mandates. It came not from an anti-vaxxer like Robert Kennedy Jr., but Dr. Brett Giroir, a physician who had briefly followed Gottlieb as the head of the Food and Drug Administration. Further, the tweet encouraged people who did not have natural immunity to get vaccinated. So it was telling people to get vaccinated, but it didn't seem to. It said that, some people actually have some acquired immunity. I hate when they say natural immunity. No one has. I don't know if anyone has natural immunity to it, but acquired immunity for people who've had the disease, like most viruses you get, you acquire immunity, of some form or another. Plus, you have memory in the B cells that can remember how to make the things that fight those particular diseases. So, but that didn't matter that it came from Brett Giroir, who followed Gottlieb as the head of the Food and Drug Administration. By suggesting some people might not need the vaccinations, the tweet could raise questions about the shots. Besides being a former FDA commissioner, an CNBC contributor, and a prominent voice in COVID public policy, Gottlieb was a senior board member at Pfizer. Pfizer depended on mRNA jabs for almost half of its $81 billion in sales in 2021 and paid Gottlieb $365,000 a year for his work that year. Gottlieb stepped in, emailing Todd O'Boyle, a top lobbyist in Twitter's Washington office, who was also Twitter's point of contact in the White House. The post was corrosive. Gottlieb wrote he worried it would end up going viral and driving news coverage. So Pfizer sure didn't want this to happen. They didn't want to hear about it. So here's his email. It says, let's see. Well, here, I'm not going to read these. You can read these on your own if you want to look this thread later. I found the email in a search of records I ran at Twitter last week, part of Elon Musk's Twitter files effort to raise the veil on censorship decisions Twitter made before Musk bought the company in October. Oh, and he also put a Substack out, which on that very detailed right here that I am linking. Let's see. Here's the email. It's now clear COVID-19's national immunity. Oh, this is subject. The subject of the email, it's now clear that COVID-19 natural immunity is superior to vaccine immunity by a lot. There's no science justification for vax proof if a person had prior infection. That's CDC Director POTUS must follow the science if no previous infection. But it still says, right here, get vaccinated. It says to get vaccinated. Now, that's the subject line of this email. Who's he writing this to? To somebody. Anyway. And he said, this is the kind of stuff that's corrosive. Here he draws a sweeping conclusion off a single retrospective study in Israel that hasn't been peer-reviewed, but this tweet will end up going viral and driving news coverage. Oh my gosh, we wouldn't want it to drive news coverage. Now, through Jira, an internal system Twitter used for managing complaints, O'Boyle forwarded Gottlieb's email to the Twitter Strategic Response Team. Remember them? The group that was responsible for handling concerns from the company's most important employees and users. Oh, they have a special place they can go? Their most important employees and users? I didn't even know they had one of those. Interesting. Quote, please see this report from the former FDA commissioner, O'Boyle wrote, failing to mention that Gottlieb was a Pfizer director with a financial interest in pushing mRNA shots. Wow. I wonder why he would be so concerned about maybe people not taking this. The strategic response analyst quickly found that the tweet did not violate Twitter misinformation rules. Well, goody for them. But Twitter wound up flagging Dr. Girard's tweet anyway, putting a misleading tag on it and preventing almost anyone from seeing it. Wow. It remained tagged even though several large studies have confirmed the truth of Girard's words. See, there's their little misleading tag. I hate when they do that. But they didn't take it down at least. But no one could see it because once they put one of those on you, they really, really, really shadow ban the tweet itself. So a week later, on September 3rd, 2021, Gottlieb tried to strike again, complaining to O'Boyle about a tweet from Justin Hart. Hart is a lockdown and COVID vaccine skeptic with more than 100,000 Twitter followers. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but viral pathogen with a child mortality rate of less than zero, or practically zero, has caused our children nearly 3 years of schooling, Hart had written. Oh, the horrors of actually looking at the data. Now, why Gottlieb objected to Hart's words is not clear, but the Pfizer shot would soon be approved for children 5 to 11 years old, representing another massive market for Pfizer if parents could be convinced that stupid 19 was a real threat to their kids. O'Boyle referred to former FDA Commissioner Gottlieb when he forwarded the report. Again, former FDA Commissioner Gottlieb, not Pfizer big-time employee Gottlieb. Notice that little sleight of hand there? No, not a former FDA Commissioner. What about the successor Dr. Girard, he was an FDA commissioner, but no, he refers to Gottlieb as former FDA commissioner. Brilliant, not Pfizer lackey. When he forwarded the report, again ignoring Gottlieb's current work for Pfizer. This time, though, Gottlieb's complaint was so far afield that Twitter refused to act. Uh-oh. At the same time, Gottlieb was pressing Twitter to act against me, as I disclosed on Substack on October 13th, 2022. This is Alex talking about himself, because Gottlieb was one of the people pushing to get him kicked off of Twitter. Drawing on documents that Twitter's Primus regime provided to me as part of my lawsuit against it in the discovery process. And then that is detailed in his Substack, which I still have linked up here, okay? In fact, is this the same one? Make sure this is the same one. Yes, it is the same one. See, Pfizer board member Scott Gottlieb secretly pressed Twitter to hide posts challenging his company's massively profitable COVID jabs. All right. Now, he said, I'll have more to say about my own case, and we'll be suing the White House, Slavitt, Gottlieb, and Pfizer shortly. So he's going to have a lawsuit against these shitheads. Now, the morning after I wrote that article, Gottlieb appeared on CNBC, the financial news channel where he is a contributor, and offered what at best was a seriously misleading explanation of his actions and motives. Gottlieb did not deny pressing Twitter on me. He could not, given the documents I had released, but in an interview with Joe Squawkbox, that Squawkbox guy, Gottlieb said he had asked Twitter to act only because he was concerned if tweets raised the threat of violence against against vaccine advocates. Oh, that is so dirty. That is so dirty. So he tried to make it like there's going to be that he's oh my gosh, like he's that he's advocating violence. Wow. And that's they do all the time. That's that's what the like the people who hate libs of TikTok. Well, you're just you're stochastic terrorism and shit. Anyway, the inability of these platforms to police direct threats, physical threats about people, that's my concern about what's going on in that ecosystem, Gottlieb said. And here it is. Here's a clip. This is dirty bastard.
Doctor, we go way back. I don't know how many times during the pandemic you were on, probably 3 times a week. You turned into a security blanket for us, and I think for viewers everywhere. And the entire
as a Pfizer employee or a former FDA director?
You dodged the question or politicized the question. You talked about the origins, and were very straightforward about what could have happened, what didn't. You talked about the efficacy of the vaccines and masks, and you'd go against the conventional thinking. I think it was all science-based and totally objective. So I got to ask you about this. I have no doubt that you want to weigh in on it. So on Tucker Carlson last night, New York Times reporter, former New York Times reporter Alec Berenson said you got him kicked off of Twitter. This is a kind of a convoluted conspiracy theory that somehow
is it now?
You told Twitter to get rid of him because he was asking too many questions about the efficacy and safety of the COVID vaccine. Do you just want to respond to that?
Let's see how he weasels out of this.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to comment directly on that, and he's threatening litigation too. So another reason not to respond. I've raised concerns around social media broadly, and I've done it on these networks around the threats that were being made on these platforms and the inability of these platforms.
Dirty bastard about threats.
To police direct threats, physical threats about people. That's my concern.
That's why you got Alex Berenson kicked off? Because of threats, the physical threats to people?
Social media and what's going on in that ecosystem.
So it wasn't as much about, and you know what? I had COVID. I had 3 vaccines. I think without the vaccine, those were one of the great scientific discoveries of our. And I've seen all the. I still see it. It does this. It does that. We didn't know this. We didn't know that. That's the way that it.
Okay, enough of this. Anyway, so Berenson's, and I'm concerned about debate being made. Gottlieb told Kernan, I'm concerned about physical threats being made for people's safety. Then a tweet that morning, Gottlieb doubled down, writing respectful debate and dialogue is one thing and should be encouraged and protected, but there's no place for targeted harassment and misleading dialogue. Now, that's a different story. He went from violent threats to, targeted harassment and misleading dialogue, which can instigate a small but persuadable group to make targeted, dangerous threats. But Brett Girard's tweet about natural immunity was the definition of respectful debate and dialogue. And in his own email to Todd O'Boyle, Gottlieb did not raise any security concerns about it. He simply complained that it might wind up driving news coverage. So nothing. Wow, up here, targeted harassment, dangerous threats. Oh, but down here, well, it might drive news coverage. What a lying piece of shit. Hello, Bubba. Nice to see you. Happiness is a warm gun, bang, bang, shoot you. Okay, I don't know. I'm not singing that song. So, Gottlieb is not just a Pfizer board member. He's also on the board's executive committee and head of its regulatory and compliance committee overseeing compliance with laws, regulations, and internal procedures applicable to pharmaceutical sales and marketing activities. Pfizer has a long history of violating drug industry laws and ethics rules. In 2009, it agreed to pay $2.3 billion with a B, the largest healthcare fraud settlement in American history for fraudulently marketing several drugs. Now, in 1996, it conducted a clinical trial of an antibiotic in Nigeria in which 11 children died and which became the inspiration for John le Carre's novel, The Constant Gardener. So how will Pfizer react to the black and white proof from Twitter's records that one of its most powerful board members secretly tried to suppress debate on the mRNA jabs that have been by far the best-selling product since 2020? And CNBC continued to let Gottlieb use it to mislead the public. So that's the end of the thread. So Pfizer, not only is some government jackholes been successful in getting people censored on Twitter, so has Pfizer itself, the former FDA commissioner, who is a Pfizer employee. Very, very fascinating, isn't it? So. And I am including in the links. Now, if you're new here, obviously, I put all the links to every article, every sub-article, everything that I opened up for that day in the description down below in the both Rumble and YouTube. In the second paragraph, it'll be updated during the outro to include that link, which will take you to a single page with every single article and tweet and video and whatever else we do on that single page. So I will have his article about Gottlieb secretly pressing Twitter to hide posts challenging his company's massively profitable COVID jabs in the link today. All right, now moving on. In a similar vein, there is also Facebook. Now, it's funny because these Twitter files, we keep hearing about Twitter because they're releasing all this stuff, right? Elon Musk said, I bought Twitter and everything that they're doing that we think was dirty is we're going to air out our laundry, we're going to clean house, and we're going to show you everything, right? Well, do the HK slap. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Do you think this is only happening at Twitter? Because I'm concerned about this video on YouTube. It's probably going to get one of those yellow, when you do monetization, you have green dollar signs, you have yellow dollar signs. Green dollar signs means it's just regular monetization. Yellow means it's restricted because, we're restricting this from advertisers. Some advertisers just don't want to be on certain types of videos and shit. And it's funny because a lot of the stuff that they will like restrict your monetization for are things that they absolutely have in movies on YouTube and other, newscasts, whatever. But I'm just saying. Anyway, so Facebook basically said to the FDA, well, we'll do whatever you say. Just tell us what you want us to say. What kind of a message you want? Because there's some certain things that are happening that don't look good, and we want to make sure we're good boys. Facebook requested talking points from the Biden administration to get ahead of the possibility that people might be less likely to get a stupid 19 juice after evidence emerged that the Johnson & Johnson single-dose Fauci juice might cause life-threatening blood clots in some rare cases. Documents shared with the Daily Caller News Foundation show the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, CDC, and Food and Drug Administration issued a joint statement in April 13th in 2021, issuing a pause on the use of the Johnson & Johnson Stupid 19 Fauci juice, after they identified 6 cases where adult women out of roughly 7 million individuals who received the dose developed severe blood clots. A Facebook employee wrote an email later that day asking the Biden administration's COVID-19 czar Andrew Slavitt for quote, any messaging, end quote, that the White House might want the company to promote, looping in White House Director of Digital Strategy Rob Flaherty and Director of Strategic Communications and Engagement for the Stupid 19 response team, Courtney Rowe, in a follow-up email moments later, according to documents obtained by the new Civil Liberties Alliance and shared with the Daily Caller. The NCLA is a party to an ongoing lawsuit filed by the attorneys general of Louisiana and Missouri, alleging improper collusion, we've heard that word before, between the federal government and social media companies, and obtained the emails via discovery. Here's the email right here. The J&J News, we're keen to amplify any messaging you want us to project about what this means for people. It obviously has the risk of exacerbating vaccine hesitancy, so we're keen to get ahead of the knock-on effect. Don't hesitate to tell me via your team how we can help provide clarity and reassurance via Facebook. So they're taking directions directly from the federal government. Anyway, now some people will poo-poo this, just saying, well, they're just trying to get out correct information and this and that. But look, I don't think is that really their place? I don't know. Anyway, we'll move on here. You can read the rest of that article. But also here, now there is some proof, though, that the White House was behind. This is some proof that the White House was behind some of Facebook's stupid 19 censorship. So this talks a little bit about the same thing. During the discovery phase of the Missouri versus Biden lawsuit alleging social media censorship of efforts by the Biden administration, Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry unearthed documents proving that the government was directly involved in shutting down discussion related to the stupid 19 pandemic, the most damning proof we've seen yet of First Amendment violations. The revelations come via a series of emails between Biden administration officials and Facebook employees tasked with liaising. Is that a word? Liaising? When you do liaison, but you're doing it. I didn't know that liaising, that's a verb. Anyway, I don't know if it's proper use. It probably is. I don't know. Anyway, with liaising with the White House, read them yourself below. One email from Andrew Slavitt, senior advisor to Biden's COVID-19 response coordinator, dated March 15, 2021, has the subject line, "You are hiding the ball." Flaherty accuses Facebook of driving vaccine hesitancy. We are gravely concerned that your service is one of the top drivers of vaccine hesitancy. Period, he wrote. We want to know what you're trying. We want to know how we can help. We want to know that you're not playing a shell game. This would be a lot easier if you would just be straight with us. Nice company you got there. Be terrible if something happened to it. Okay, that part wasn't in there. I added that last part, but that's basically what it is. The email goes on to ominously warn, quote, internally, we've been considering our options on what to do about it. And as of yet, unnamed Facebook official pushed back, saying that Slavitt had relied on leaked work that's been done by a small team to conclude that Facebook was not being completely transparent. We obviously have work to do to gain your... This crying little bitch. We obviously have work to do to gain your trust. You mentioned that you are not trying to play gotcha with us. I appreciate the approach you're taking to continue discussions. We are working to get useful information that's on the level. That's my job, and I take it seriously. I'll continue to do the best of my ability, and I expect you'll hold me accountable. Please, don't beat me. Don't beat me, Daddy. That's noteworthy. The Facebook official considered it his job to give Biden's COVID-19 team information about social media users who did not buy into the official narrative on vaccines. Why did Facebook agree to disclose this information? Because they agreed with the White House? Or did the White House threaten the social media giant? Again, nice company you have there. It'd be terrible if something happened to it. The tone of the conversation suggests that Facebook was afraid to run afoul of the White House, yet still pushed back on handling out whatever they demanded. So it goes on, but that you get the gist of it. And they have some of the emails down here. If you want to read these emails for yourself that came in the discovery process, it just gets saucier and saucier. Good morning, Cannon Hotep. Nice to see you, brother. All right, let me come back to this. We're gonna do it. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about, we were talking about Brazil yesterday. Well, they were fucking around with people talking around with Brazil. But first, I want to remind you that the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please like the damn thing. Hit that like button on whatever you're on, watching it on. Share whatever you're watching on. Thank you for those who've done so far. And Dawg Knight Live and so on and so forth. But one thing that I really, really am asking y'all to do, Friday, my 4-year anniversary show. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll talk to Kata, I'll talk to Hard Basher, I'll talk to a bunch of different people. But wouldn't it be cool if we could get 500 viewers that day? I'd be really cool. Maybe we'll see what happens Wednesday afternoon. I'm going to ask Nick to help me out. I'm going to ask Hard Bash to help me out. I'm going to ask you to help me out. Canada Hotep Jesus, Gothics, all the people who've been on the show. I'm going to ask them to see if they can help me get a shit ton of people here watching on Friday. And by the way, Ken, I have an invitation for you, man. But I'm also going to have, so far right now, Hard Bastard is the one guest, although I'm going to bring in have some other people drop in too, if they have the time. Scribe and Monkey and maybe Gothics and maybe Ruin Leon and just people who've been here before. Megan Fox, all of the guests that I've had over the last 4 years are invited to drop in. So anyway, let's move on because it's funny. I remember one of the things that in these YouTube rules that I got dinged for, although they removed it because it was over a year, almost a year and a half old, was election disinformation. So when you go in and you get suspended on YouTube, they give you a very, very vague reason why you're suspended, and then they just refer you to the rules. And so you're supposed to figure out. So when I have something, an hour and a half stream, right, 90-minute stream from 15 months ago, and they say, well, we're going to take this down because of election misinformation or some shit like that. They don't tell you specifically what they considered in that video to be election misinformation. They expect you to go back, watch a 90-minute video, but then cross-reference it with the rules that they link in their little message, right? Well, one of the interesting rules in their message about election integrity is you're not allowed to, in U.S. elections, you're not allowed to question the results, saying that the results were some of this or why it was this or fraud or anything like that. You're not allowed to say that shit, right? But there's also a very, very specific rule in there regarding the Brazilian elections, similar to the verbiage that they use for all American elections. Now, they said it was all American elections, but certainly I've never seen any videos taken down talking about the 2004 election in the United States, or 2004, or even 2016. There's still Democrats, people who have complete denial of the 2016 election, saying, oh, this is Trump, Russia, blah, 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 Russia, Russia, Russia. But it's fascinating how the Brazilian election is also a target of our own big tech. And so this article in the Daily Wire shows you that big tech platforms remove content supporting pro-Bolsonaro rioters who storm Brazilian federal buildings. Now, this is fascinating to me. Social media platforms revealed on Monday that they would remove content supporting riots in Brazil that saw demonstrators storm multiple federal buildings. Now, first of all, who do these companies work for? I am pretty neutral on Brazilian politics. I don't know enough about it to know what they should do. I have a little bit of a, let's just say, side eye for the socialist in that scenario. But still, I don't live in Brazil. I don't elect leaders in Brazil. I don't, whatever happens in Brazil is for the Brazilians to decide. But it's interesting that American-based big tech companies are so concerned about Brazil. Thousands of supporters who backed former President Jair Bolsonaro in recent elections entered the facilities hosting the South American nation's legislative and executive branches. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who assumed office last week, has vowed to punish individuals who destroyed federal property. That's fair. Technology companies are now taking down materials that support the riots, according to a report from Reuters. Quote, in advance of the election, we designated Brazil as a temporary high-risk location and have been removing content calling for people to take up arms or forcibly invade Congress, the presidential palace, and other federal buildings. A spokesman for Meta, which runs Facebook, told the outlet, we are also designating this as a violating event, which means we will remove content that supports or praises these actions. We are actively following this situation and will continue to remove content that is violating our policies. I'm sorry, it seemed like an appropriate accent to meld into. YouTube, a subsidiary of Google, likewise told the outlet that the company is closely tracking the unrest and removing content that violates community guidelines. Well, what community guidelines? What the fuck do you have to do with Brazil? Our systems are prominently surfacing authoritative content on our homepage at the top of the search results and in recommendations, the spokesman said. We remain vigilant as the situation continues to unfold. Now, Twitter did not respond to Reuters' request for comment. Twitter just said, bitch, mind your business. That's what Twitter said. Anyway, Lula, a self-described socialist, defeated Bolsonaro, a populist conservative, sometimes called the Trump of the tropics. Oh, that explains everything. You just have to relate it to Trump, right? Yes, I know the new bro's communist. I'm just trying to be I'm trying to be subtle here, okay? Renee, I'm being subtle. I know what's going on. I just don't have but I don't have a dog in the fight. It's not my country. Anyway. Documents leaked after Lula's trial suggested that the judge in the case, Sergio Mora, improperly collaborated with the prosecutor. Okay, that's because they're talking about what is it? A justice of the Brazilian Supreme Court voided corruption convictions against Lula 2 years ago, restoring his eligibility for office. The documents leaked after Lula's trial suggested that the judge in the case, Sergio Moro, improperly collaborated with the prosecution. So there's a lot of deep stuff in there that is a lot more simple than, or a lot more, not more simple, more difficult, more intricate than just they didn't like the election being, who won the election. Now, Telegram, a private messaging service, is working with the new government to identify and censor content. Oh my gosh, isn't that special? That's what's that called again? It starts with F. Fascism. Anyway, Telegram is a platform that supports the right to free speech and peaceful protest. Calls to violence, however, are explicitly forbidden on our platform, a spokesman remarked. Our moderators use a combination of proactive monitoring and public-facing parts of our platform, in addition to accepting user reports in order to remove such content. Aren't you all special? So anyway, again, the melding of private companies and government starts with an F and ends with an ism. All right. Speaking of Brazil, apparently there is a New York Times reporter says Trump is it's Trump's fault that they're rioting in Brazil. Yes. Every piece of news, you have to work in Donald Trump into your stories if you are at the New York Times, Washington Post, NBC, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, and whatever. A New York Times reporter blamed former President Donald Trump during a Monday MSNBC appearance for the Sunday riot in Brazil after supporters of the former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro stormed various federal buildings. Supporters of Bolsonaro stormed multiple government buildings, blah, 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 blah. Hang on, let's just watch the clip. This is going to be good, I'm sure.
The parallels between Bolsonaro and Donald Trump were already many before this happened. I mean, he was often compared to Trump, Peter, as you know, during his time in office, trying to use some of the same playbook, about COVID, some of the same playbook about just denying any responsibility and being extreme. This almost seemed inevitable, given that he came out and started denying the election, much in the same way that Donald Trump is. Also striking that Steve Bannon, Mike Lindell, Stephen Miller, same names that fueled a lot of it here, fueling what we saw down there.
Yeah, the parallels are, of course, powerful. I was in Mar-a-Lago, in March 2020 when Bolsonaro was there with President Trump for a dinner. It was the last time that the American president got to his Florida estate before COVID really hit in the United States. It was this sort of last hurrah, and that last hurrah was with Bolsonaro. And I was back there in 2021 with my wife, Susan Glasser. We were doing research for our book, The Divider, and in former President Trump's office there at Mar-a-Lago was a gift from President Bolsonaro. As a matter of fact, it was a portrait of President Trump made out of bullet casings that President Bolsonaro had given him. That was something that former President Trump had on display in his office there in 2021. We went to visit him. So I think it gives you some sense of just these two are in that sense. And you're right.
No, it gives you no sense of anything. What? So he gave him a portrait built with bullet casing. Is that just a Brazilian thing, maybe? Maybe it's just an art project. It doesn't give you a sense. What does it give you a sense of? What do you...
Bolsonaro has been called repeatedly the Trump of Latin America. And I think that's, one of the worries that a lot of people in the United States have had about what happened in January 6th, what happened in terms of this effort to overturn the American election, because it then encourages actions around the world in countries with democratic traditions that aren't even as strong.
Because there's never, ever before that riot on January 6th, there's never been a riot on any government entity in the entire world, ever. Oh, wait. Except the White House in April of 2020 and military coups all over the world and uprisings in Iran. Do you think, I wonder if the January 6th riots triggered the uprising in Iran. I wonder if that, notice they don't make that parallel, against governments they don't like. It's amazing that they try to make this about Trump.
Is ours. When they look and see what happens here, it looks like it's something that could be a plausible route forward in your own country. And I think that's, the concern people had for the 4 years that Trump was in office, the democratic norms that he was so willing to bust.
Okay, and what democratic norms was he willing to bust? I'm just curious. A lot of his stuff he wasn't able to do because he couldn't get Congress to go along. Some people in his own party to go along with. What are you talking about? Because he waited for a vote on some things that he wanted to do. Now he eventually got votes on some of them, and he found some other legal means to get around him, like on the funding the wall. But what are you talking about? See, everyone tries to make Trump out to be this great authoritarian, and yet he was kind of the anti-authoritarian.
To sideline, to get around, would then encourage, like-minded people around the world to do the same.
Like in Iran. I think that's wouldn't you? Let me see. Okay, how about this? Whatever your name is. What about repressive regimes? What if it inspired people in those countries to do that? Would you be for or against that? Huh? Of course, yeah. There's a whole interesting. My only limited knowledge of Brazil, there are some different issues down there that people are considering.
Exactly what seems to have happened here.
Well, and I wonder how much a consequence they're seeing from what we have going on up here. Yes, there are prosecutions for those who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, but the lawmakers who parroted the lies, the lawmakers who still refuse.
January 6th of 2021. And we're a full year. Full year past that. Has anything else happened since of that nature? Have you seen any organizings whatsoever? I haven't. I don't know. I don't see any of that. I'm just they milk this January 6th thing and that insurrection shit too much.
To accept the results in the 2020 election, a lot of them are still in power. And what we saw over the weekend and last week, Peter, was the people who were stopping Kevin McCarthy from becoming speaker were, many of them were election deniers themselves. The mega MAGA crowd, as they've colloquially become to known as. So I guess the message.
You mean the Ultra MAGA? So the Speaker of the House race, which they ended up getting their most of their concessions, by the way. The guy who runs the House Rules yesterday kind of went through that. But what? It's weird too. The people who were part of that Kevin McCarthy thing, right? Were they following the rules? Were they following the rules that were laid down within that particular House chamber? Yes, they were. They went by the rules, and they got some concessions out of it. What's your point here, Katie? Was that also an insurrection?
The message from that, how does that sound?
The message from that, what? That they got some concessions?
Well, I think that's exactly right. That's the message that's being sent. The message being sent from Mar-a-Lago, by the way, where former President Trump has repeatedly characterized the people who stormed the Capitol on January.
Hold on. Isn't this the same president that endorsed Kevin McCarthy and told him to vote for McCarthy? Because he went against this, those people went against each other. And also, what is he about to say? Oh, did this motherfucker lie? Here, we'll go back.
By the way, where former President Trump has repeatedly characterized the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021 as patriots, as protesters, as heroes in effect.
Some were just there protesting. What? Because he refused to label insurrectionists. Okay.
He's promised to pardon them if he takes office again. He has encouraged fundraising for organizations defending them as if they were political prisoners, characterizing them as if they were simply people who were rising up against.
So you don't think that the grandma who spent I think she spent 8 months in jail awaiting a trespassing charge wasn't a political prisoner? Are you saying oh my God. I can't listen to this asshole anymore. Anyway, you get the point. Donald Trump is to be blamed for Brazil. What a fucking joke. All right, I'm going to move on because I got a few more that I want to get through. Now, here's something interesting, and I'm just going to go through some a few news items before we get out of here that are very fascinating. Y'all know the name Brian Sicknick. He was one of the Capitol Police who served on that day of January 6th. Speaking of January 6th, Brian Sicknick, a day later, died from a aneurysm via a blood clot in his brain. And, there was a lot of speculation that he might have been beat to death with a fire extinguisher, and they summoned, he died someone in the MAGA crowd, the rioters killed Brian Sicknick, but then it was later figured out that, no, he was back in his office by 8 o'clock that evening, and then later the next day died of a stroke, or excuse me, not an aneurysm, a stroke. He had a stroke, right? Well, here's some news for you. Now, it's one thing for Joe Biden and congressional Democrats and the media to exploit Brian Sicknick's death, which they very, 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 very much did. But now one of his loved ones is doing so. Well, sort of. Wait till you hear, this is like an article that Gun Fox would send to me. Sandra Garza, Brian Sicknick's former girlfriend, just filed a wrongful death suit against Trump and 2 January 6ers. The second anniversary of the events of January 6, 2021. Oh, 2 years ago. Did I say 1 year ago? Did I? 2 years ago. Came and went last week, and probably was overshadowed by the House Republican leadership race, without a copycat attempt. Oh, wait. So it's been 2 years and there's been nothing since? Gee, how could that be? Without a copycat attempt by behorned furries and self-taking Indiana meemaws to overthrow democracy and whatnot. Now, while most people somehow managed to move on with their lives, official Washington remains fixated on the 4-hour disturbance that took place 2 years ago. What can only be described as an insurrection psychosis continues to grip the Biden regime, congressional Democrats, and the national news media in yet another example of vast differences between the priorities of the ruling class and the American public. I'm going to skip down because I don't want to go through all this. There's a lot here that I'm going to skip. The ceremony, now they were talking about Joe Biden held a solemn ceremony at the White House to commemorate January 6th and present more presidential awards of some of the day's heroes. Recipients just happened to include several individuals who participated in the January 6th Select Committee televised performances. It was the first time Biden bestowed a Presidential Citizens Medal, an honor reserved for those who have performed exemplary deeds for the service of their country, Biden said. The ceremony in reality served as an opportunity for Biden to again perpetuate one of the biggest lies about January 6th, that numerous police officers, including Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, died as a result of the Capitol protest. As a military officer read a brief summary of Sicknick's military and law enforcement career, Biden held hands with Sicknick's mother, Gladys, in attendance with Sicknick's father to receive a posthumous award on behalf of their son. Quote, He lost his life protecting our elected representatives, upholding the will of the American people, and defending our Constitution, a military aide said from the podium in the last room on Friday. In the East Room on Friday, that last room. Hi, T-Ball, by the way, and Asian Research Directorate. For his service and his ultimate sacrifice, we the people honor U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. But that is not what happened. Sicknick suffered 2 strokes caused by a blood clot near his brainstem. The D.C. coroner concluded Sicknick died of natural causes on January 7th, 2021, at the age of 42. Rather than allow his family a chance to grieve with dignity and in privacy, the media immediately seized on his untimely passing to portray Trump supporters as cop killers. Less than 24 hours after Sicknick died, the New York Times published an anonymously sourced account claiming Sicknick had been bludgeoned to death by protesters using a fire extinguisher. The paper retracted the story a month later, but the damage was done. The notion that Sicknick died at the hands of Trump supporters became an animating feature of insurrection folklore, repeated to this day by the news media and federal judges handling January 6 criminal cases. So even the judges in some of these cases during the sentencing referenced Sicknick as being killed by the insurrectionists. For example, during a court hearing last year, D.C. District Court Judge Emmett Sullivan, he's a shitbag, berated a January 6th defendant for contributing to Sicknick's death. Quote, "We had officers who died because of this," Sullivan scolded Dustin Thompson before sentencing him to 36 months in prison for his role in the protest. Even more shamefully how Sicknick's loved ones are exploiting his death for publicity and now for profit. Before Biden's event at the White House, House Democrats held a moment of silence for Sicknick and other, quote, fallen, end quote, police officers on the east side of the Capitol last Friday. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi thanked family members for allowing lawmakers to share their grief and honor their loss. Oh, we share our grief with you in this beautiful photo op where we can virtue signal and pretend something actually happened that way worse than what actually happened. Now, standing directly behind Pelosi was Sandra Garza, Sicknick's former girlfriend. Key word in that phrase, former. Garza, despite admitting in a 2021 interview that she and Sicknick took a break from their relationship months before the Capitol protest, plays the role of a grieving widow, routinely appearing on cable news programs to bolster the lie about Sicknick's death and blame Trump and his followers for what happened. Some news outlets dishonestly describe Garza as his fiance. They were not even dating as of January 6th. Garza has publicly stated her desire to see Trump in prison. During an appearance on This Is CNN last summer, Garza looked directly into the camera to deliver a message to Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. Quote, "You could have avoided the bloodshed that took place, including the suicides that took place after." What? Garza said in a July 2022 interview with Jake Tapper, who claimed Sicknick was brutally and violently attacked on January 6th. Now, Garza is looking for pay dirt. The day before she appeared as a backdrop for the Democrats' latest January 6th publicity stunt, Garza filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Trump and two men accused of attacking Sicknick with chemical spray on January 6th. Prosecutors last year dropped assault charges against one of the men, George Tanios, who pleaded guilty to 2 misdemeanors. Julian Cater pleaded guilty to assaulting Sicknick and faces up to 8 years in prison. He will be sentenced later this month. Now, represented by none other than Mark Zaid, a well-known anti-Trump lawyer activist, Garza is suing for damages on behalf of Sicknick's estate. Any lawyers in the room? I'm going to ask Nick Ricade about this tomorrow, but I would think she would have zero standing, being that she's not related to Brian or to Sicknick in any way and wasn't even dating him on January 6th. Anyway, quote, "The peaceful transfer of power is a sacrament to American democracy," her attorneys wrote in a complaint filed January 5th, 2023. Defendant Donald Trump, together with other co-conspirators, defiled that orderly transition through a campaign of lies and incendiary rhetoric, which led to the ransacking of the United States Capitol. Ransacking. As a part of an insurrectionist effort on January 6, 2021 by defendants Julian Cater and George Tanios and many others. That attack on the United States Capitol cost the U.S. Capitol officer Brian Sicknick, who was bravely defending the cradle of American democracy, his life, except for the fact that he had a stroke the next day. Garza is demanding up to $10 million in actual damages from each defendant. Now, I wonder how she came up with that. She's not dating him. Actual damages mean that you actually had damages of $10 million for each one of those people? Really? How'd you calculate that? How did you calculate that? not being related to Brian Sicknick, not even dating Brian Sicknick at the time, how did you calculate that your actual damages are $10 million? Oh, we're going to have a field day with this. An astronomical sum, considering Sicknick was not married to her and the couple had no children. And then in addition to they're also doing punitive damages. Further, if Garza was truly invested in punishing those responsible for leaving law enforcement vulnerable to attacks that day, she would sue Sicknick's employer and Nancy Pelosi herself. Instead, Garza's newly created Twitter page features a photo of her with Pelosi. Oh, this is, you know what this is? This is media fodder. That's what it is. And this should be immediately thrown out, but it won't, because it's in DC courts, which is just a bin of bilge and swamp water. It is, the DC court system is the swamp, especially if it has something to do, if you're doing something against Republicans and anything to do with January 6th. No one's getting a fair trial in the January 6th trials. It's just, it's a big line of bullshit. Anyway, now, the lawsuit is but the latest chapter in the sad exploitation of Brian Sicknick, even his own parents are politicizing their son's death. Last year, Gladys Sicknick appeared in a campaign ad accusing Carrie Lake, Republican candidate of Arizona governor, of contributing to her son's death. How the fuck did Carrie Lake have anything to do with Brian Sicknick's death? She said, my son died because of people like Carrie Lake. She said in a video produced by a Never Trump PAC. How did Carrie Lake have anything to do with the death of your son? Did Carrie Lake sneak him some stroke juice or some shit like that? The surviving Sicknicks recently snubbed then House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell during a congressional gold medal ceremony to honor law enforcement's response to January 6th. When asked why, Gladys Sicknick explained how she's tired of them standing there and saying how wonderful the Capitol Police is, and then they turn around and go down to Mar-a-Lago and kiss his ring. Craig Sicknick, Brian's brother, accused Republicans of perpetuating the same policies and lies that caused the insurrection to happen. The insurrection to happen. This is sick. Look, I get it. You're mourning your son, your friend, your former boyfriend, whatever. But you've only heard, clearly you have some partisan motives here, and the Democrats have are using you to milk this story as much as they can. And it's awful. But the lawsuit by Miss, what's her name? Garcia? The fuck's her name? Garza. Sandra Garza. The lawsuit by Sandra Garza should be immediately thrown out. But in the swamp, it'll probably go forward, go to a jury, and they'll find a way. They'll find a way to get at least the judgment. Now, I don't think any judgment could stand, because there's no way that she should have standing in this case. All right, let's finish up with some headlines, and I'm going to get out of here. Apparently, there were some grooming gangs in Chicago. I didn't hear about this. Heard about the Chicago public school grooming gangs? It was a story that came and went a few days ago. The Chicago Board of Education Inspector General's office came up with an annual report noting hundreds and hundreds of sexual incidents by Chicago public school teachers committing crimes against students in their care, grooming, rapes, love affairs, and inappropriate sexual touching and encounters. The figure was described in this report as an extraordinary high case volume. Kira Davis at Red State has descriptions of some of the most revolting activities, according to the Daily Caller. By the way, if you ever get a chance to see Kira Davis's article, she's a great writer over at Red State. The OIG Sexual Allegiance Unit opened 447 cases involving teachers for allegedly grooming, sexually assaulting, and raping CPS students last year, following the 325 open cases in 2021. The open cases, the SAU closed 600 over the past 12 months, according to the OIG annual report. reported Chicago City Wire. SAU investigated a Chicago high school substitute teacher for grooming several students for sex and engaging in sexual acts with at least one student on school property, the OIG found. The CPS teacher allegedly talked to students about their sex lives in person and through social media, cell phones, and other common grooming techniques, according to the OIG. The report stated that teacher gave the student unnecessary passes to exclude her from class and encouraging students to confide in him about personal problems. That's a lot of kids damaged by the public schools, and given the low attention, this report has received very little outrage. Holy shit. That's not good. But no. You know, I'm sorry. There's an error in the article. They're not grooming kids at all. They're not. The idea that you introduce sexual topics to kids at school has nothing to do with that. And it's all fake. The over 900 investigations over the last 2 years. The over 700 investigations over the last 2 years. Just 700. That's not too bad. There's nothing to see here. All right. You probably heard about the classified documents that the former vice president had at his someplace at like Penn, the University of Pennsylvania, apparently. The DOJ and FBI probing classified documents from Biden's vice presidency found at a Biden think tank. According to a report, the Attorney General Merrick Garland has reportedly assigned U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois, John Lausch, to review classified material from President Joe Biden's time as vice president. That was president who, when he was no longer the president or vice president, or he was no longer the vice president, had some classified documents. I can't believe that they haven't raided his former residence or anything, but now as I'm doing this silly monologue about this is probably not a big deal, but also the documents that Donald Trump had, probably not a big deal. I'm just saying, yes, presidents end up with now. This is the thing is, this is the vice president. The vice president of the United States really doesn't have any power to declassify anything or have certain classified documents. So I'm just wondering why the vice president the former vice president had these documents when he wasn't president yet, but they were over in his little think tank thing. CBS News reported that approximately 10 documents were found at the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement in Washington. The files were discovered by Biden's personal attorneys, and when they were packing files housed in a locked closet to prepare to vacate office space at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C., the attorneys said that the information was found in a box with other materials that were not classified. And then CNN reported that some of the classified materials were discovered included top secret files designated as sensitive compartmented information, which means that the materials include highly sensitive information obtained from intelligence sources. Holy shit! That's some deep stuff right there. Now, here's the other thing. So the Penn Center, what did they call it? The Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. Do you know the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C. got over $50 million from the Chinese government? You can't write this song without Joe Biden in the lyrics. Anyway, now here's a flashback, because remember when Joe Biden was slamming Donald Trump as being irresponsible for having the documents at Mar-a-Lago? Here's Joe Biden.
You saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago.
Now, by the way, that photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, do you think that's how they were there? Is that they were just laying there when the FBI agents come in there? Or was someone in there trying to just lay out the files so that you can either take a picture or at least kind of get an idea of what all was there? They weren't just laying on the floor. But anyway, here's Joe Biden's answer.
What did you think to yourself looking at that image?
What did you think, Joe?
How that could possibly happen.
I'm sorry.
How anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods?
Yeah.
By that I mean names of people who helped, or et cetera.
Interesting, because at the Biden whatever fuckwad center, There was top secret. There was some marked top secret. The Chinese gave your center $50 million. And you were no longer you weren't the president. You were the vice president. You were a nobody. You were a citizen, Joe Biden, getting 10% for the big guy. But irresponsible. Totally irresponsible. Totally irresponsible. Wow. Yeah, so Attorney Merrick Garland has assigned U.S. Attorney in Chicago to review classified documents found at the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy, Global Engagement in Washington. Two sources with knowledge of the inquiry told CBS News. Yada, yada, yada. So so Republicans are going to make some hay out of this. It's probably, hopefully not super duper important, but you never know. And of course, Donald Trump Jr., James Corner from Kentucky, I'm from the Oversight Committee. People are making some noise about this. Kind of one of those Simpsons, ha ha, you asshole, you were yelling at us about this shit, and look what you got in your pants. Okay, probably not the exact verbiage, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. All right, let's finish up. Last couple tidbits here. Oh, here, by the way. Now the only reason CNN is bummed about this. Wait, you just gotta watch. I'm gonna full screen this first. Because I don't want. This is how it's spun. At this. Is CNN. Here's their reaction. Why is this such a remarkable and potentially bad development for the Biden administration? Well, let's take a listen. Maybe.
Of 2022, about a month or two before these classified documents were found in his private office here in Washington, he said, "How could this possibly happen? How anyone could be that irresponsible?" That's what he said.
That's what he said about Donald Trump. That's what Joe Biden said about Donald Trump.
These very sensitive classified documents at his private office in Washington.
Right. I'm sure that he meant that. And it also looks terrible in hindsight
terrible.
Because here you go, there were classified documents.
Yeah.
Here's what we don't know. We don't know how they got there. We don't know who packed them up.
Okay.
Those are things we're going to have to find out.
That's the same thing we said about Trump.
We need to know what's in these classified documents.
That's the same thing we said about
they're
Trump.
Top secret, but to Evan's point
top
earlier,
secret.
How
top
sensitive
secret.
is it? Are there sources and methods?
Yes.
Is it contemporaneous information that could be dangerous or sensitive right now?
But it looks bad. It really looks bad.
Those are the things.
What's the really importantly bad thing about this?
The Justice Department is looking at.
Tell us the bad thing, though.
As David Chalian pointed out, there is a big political side to this.
Oh,
this
yes, that's important.
Let's assume for the moment that it was accidental, a mistake.
Yes, it was an accident.
This is the kind of political unforced error that I can't believe Donald Trump hasn't posted about yet. He will be shortly.
Oh my gosh! See, this is what's important. Is whether or not
gift to Trump and the House.
We have a lot
because it's a political gift to Trump. That's why this is so bad. That is why it's so bad on This Is CNN, because it's a political gift to Trump. He hasn't posted about it yet. I'm sure he will. Donald Trump is in their brains 24/7. Okay, and let's see. Do I have anything else here? I had two more. Oh, I gotta do these two. Well, this one's just quick. I'll just leave an article because I'm not going to go into this one too deep. Apparently, Prince Harry has been written out of the King Charles's coronation and will have no official role in the service if he attends after he left Prince William burning with anger following the release of a tell-all memoir. So Prince Harry wrote a book, tell-all book, that a lot of it seems to be, at least from reports I'm seeing, a lot of it seems to be, let's just say, a little bit embellished and things like that. Well, apparently the Duke of Sussex will not be, is that what... Duke of Sussex will not be having an official role in the royal coronation of his dad. And if you really care about that, you can read this shit yourself. I don't really care about that. But this last story, this is one of those things where we go, it's the kind of thing that a lot of the ideology that has been pushed over the years forces clown behavior. And sometimes the clown behavior in a way is being turned back on the clowns. Okay? And this story, oh boy, this is some clown behavior being pushed back on the clowns. And in the New York Post, I missed this story somehow. A punished dad legally changes his gender to female in a bid to gain custody of his kids. Apparently the courts give special consideration to females. Let's just go through this a little bit. A father has legally changed his gender identification in an attempt to gain custody of his two young daughters following a bitter split from his wife. Renee Salinas Ramos, 47, is now listed as female on official documents in his native Ecuador, despite the fact he still identifies as a cisgender male in his everyday life. The desperate dad claimed he made the drastic decision due to the justice system in his country, which he said typically benefits mothers in custody cases. Being a father in this country, Ecuador, is punished, and I am only seen as a provider, Ramos told a local outlet, La Voz de la Tombamba, something like that. What I have been looking for is to give love and protection that a mother can give her children. Ramos alleged that his daughters currently live in an abusive environment with their mother and claimed he hasn't seen his children for more than 5 months. The law says that the one who has the right is the woman. As of this moment, I am female. I am also a mom. That's how I consider myself, Ramos told media assembled outside the city of Cuenca Civil Registry office in December 30th. I'm very sure of my sexuality. What I have sought is that I want to be a mother so that I can also give love and protection of a mother. So he's legally changed himself to a female. However, his actions have angered. But the activists are not happy. His angers have angered activists across the country who fought hard to have the law changed for genuine trans citizens. The Ecuadorian Federation of LGBTI, I don't know what the I stands for, it's something, organizations, released a statement denouncing Ramos's outlandish actions earlier this week. This man's private matter to obtain custody of his daughters isn't in the spirit of the law. Well, what is the spirit of the law? What is the spirit of the law? Come on. Prominent trans activist Diane Rodriguez, Ecuador's first trans assembly member and national director of the Ecuadorian Federation of LGBTI organizations, told Vice World News. Rodriguez also told the outlet she first thought this was fake news, but now we are afraid that in the assembly things will go backwards and they will start legislating against us. Meanwhile, the custody battle between the dad and his ex-wife is ongoing. Until this matter is resolved, the children will have to stay with their mother, Ramos said, as reported by Jam Press. The law is taking away our rights as parents. Changing my official documents is proof of love. Ramos is Ecuador's first reported case of a man taking advantage of the change of gender laws in an attempt to give himself a leg up in custody cases. So, hey, sometimes you just gotta be careful what you wish for or what you legislate. And, hopefully this guy will get to see his kids. That's all I got to say. If they can fix something in the laws down there. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got to call it a day. And as many of you do, just say it's a day, it's a day. So I want to thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. Please, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, share the stream, do the dollar things and all that stuff. And if you're not subscribed, well, then you're not in the chat. I don't see you, but subscribe so you can chat. And because I do that because the stupid sex bots. I have to do that. It got me in trouble one time, and I am not playing that game anymore. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, tomorrow, regular show during the morning. In the afternoon, got Ricada Law with me. Thursday, regular show. Friday, regular show. No, Friday's not a regular show. Friday's the 4-year anniversary of the Morning Night Live. We will be celebrating appropriately. All right, gotta go. Thanks for being here. My name is Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the Dawg Knight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.